Hi guys, Billy Powell here from Indiana Basketball Memories website on Facebook. You can also follow us on Hoosier on Facebook, Hoosier Hysteria on Facebook, and Keeping the Nostalgia Alive show with Billy Powell on Facebook. And also basketball, Keeping the Nostalgia Alive. I got my hands full, don't I? Guys, I wanted to talk to you about a situation which is the retired American Basketball Association players and their signed petition for benefits that was submitted April 5th, 2017 to the National Basketball Association. Well, the petition was the NBA received the petition and they said they have also mailed back stating that they don't want anything to do with the petition and don't want to do anything for the former American Basketball Association players and their pension fund / insurance and stuff like that. So what I would like to do is read you the signed petition for benefits and let you take a look at the videos that are going on, that let you take a look at all the ABA pictures that I put on also, and tell us what you think. I think the NBA has really dropped the ball and needs to take care of the former American Basketball Association players. So let me know what you think. With it down below, I will also put the link of a story with Bob Nedelicki from Gregg Doyel of the Indianapolis Star, and I will also put the link to the actual signed petition for benefits. This petition is being submitted by the undersigned former players of the American Basketball Association. The American Basketball Association and its players were the forefathers of the modern pace and space NBA, played at blinding speed, above the rim, and outside the three-point line. Since the league was merged into the NBA in 1976, the ABA's players, instead of being celebrated for their contributions to the modern game, have instead been largely ignored. The ABA Players Union was assured at the time that they would be taken care of by the NBA and believed, perhaps foolishly, that the merger agreement included language that would provide for their well-being. Today, the former ABA players come forward and seek an audience to claim what they were promised, induced to give up, and what should be rightfully theirs, the same benefits enjoyed by NBA players. Benefits commiserate with the contributions to the game of basketball and commensurate with the benefits provided the pre-1965 NBA players who are similarly situated and who were also previously left without a pension, now gratuitously remedied by the NBA and the NBPA. The sad truth is that the ABA players were largely forgotten. Their pension plan was never integrated. The NBA has done anything but take care of these ABA legacy players. The NBA simply pillaged the best rules, playing style, and players and left the others without jobs and ultimately their dignity. To make matters worse, the NBA gratuitously took care of the pre-1965 players but left the other pioneers of the game uncompensated and disenfranchised. This cherry-picking of reparations is not in the spirit of the league and what it claims it stands for. In the era of big bucks and showtime, the forefathers who were promised much but given little should not be left forgotten and largely in poverty. We respectfully ask for a remedy. We ask for a showing of humanity, of community, and of equity that the NBA so boasts as core principle of its billion-dollar enterprise. Let me give you a brief history of the American Basketball Association. In 1967, the ABA was founded and began its inaugural season with 11 teams. The NBA had 10 teams in 1967. The ABA's existence resulted in increased salaries for players in both leagues as the ABA and NBA competed with each other to sign players. The ABA's caliber of play was more than competitive with the NBA, as the ABA proved itself superior to the NBA in exhibition matches between the league's teams. In 1973, the ABA won 15 of its 25 contests against the NBA. In 1974, the ABA won 16 of the 23 games, and in 1975, the ABA won a stunning 31 of the 48 games. The ABA was also about style. With its red, white, and blue ball, the ABA popularized as much more free-flowing and exciting style of play than the NBA was featuring in the late 60s and the early 1970s. The ABA featured the three-point shot when the NBA did not, and the ABA teams played at a faster pace with an increased emphasis on playing above the rim. The pre-merger ABA resembled the modern NBA much more than the pre-merger NBA did. The ABA also popularized All-Star Weekend, including the slam dunk contest and the three-point shootout. In 1970, the NBA owners voted 13-4 to work toward a merger with the ABA. In response to the NBA's vote in favor of a merger with the ABA Players Association compiled a list of benefits that the merger would provide to ABA players. Importantly, that the merger would open the door for ABA players to get the same benefits NBA players got in minimum salary, pension, per diem allowances, travel, accommodations, and severance pay. The NBA and the ABA's early attempt at a merger was stalled by the NBA Players Association antitrust lawsuit, which was filed in April of 1970. On June 28, 1976, writer Frank DeFord penned an article for Sports Illustrated titled "One Last Hurrah in Hyannis," wherein it was noted that as a part of the agreement which allowed the Spurs, Nets, Nuggets, and Pacers to move into the NBA, they agreed to provide the monies to bring the ABA players into the NBA pension program. ABA players, the public, and the sports media were being told and otherwise believed that all ABA players were being integrated into the NBA pension plan. As it turns out, this could not be farther from the truth. On July 26, 1976, the ABA and the ABA-PA entered in, as a part of the settlement of the ABA-PA's antitrust action, a collective bargaining agreement. The collective bargaining agreement was the mechanism designed to effectuate the provisions of the settlement agreement that protected the compensation payable to then ABA players and pension obligations payable to then former ABA players. The collective bargaining agreement expressly provided that even if the ABA-PA ceased to function, any person benefited by its terms has standing, either individually or as a representative of a class, to seek enforcement. The NBA gained immediate and substantial benefits from the dissolution of the ABA, and the Spurs, Nets, Nuggets, and Pacers and numerous ABA players coming into the NBA, the least of which was the removal of any business competition, while the quality of competition on the court was profound. For example, in the first NBA Finals after the merger, 5 of the 10 starting players were from the ABA. Of the 84 players in the ABA at the time of the merger, 63 played in the NBA during the 1976-1977 season. Overall, at least 97 players played in both the ABA and NBA. Also in the first season after the merger, 4 of the top 10 scorers in the NBA were former ABA players. Further, former ABA player Don Busey of the Indiana Pacers led the league in steals and assists. The Nuggets, a team that never won an ABA championship, finished with the NBA's second-best record in the first season after the merger. The Spurs, a team that never got past the first round of the ABA playoffs, won division titles in 5 of their first 6 seasons in the NBA. In all, the Spurs, Nets, Nuggets, and Pacers have won 5 NBA championships and appeared in the NBA Finals 4 other times. Countless former ABA players have competed for NBA teams in the NBA Finals. Notwithstanding those contributions, perhaps the most tangible improvement borne by the ABA merger was the style of play in the NBA. The three-point field goal, an increased emphasis on dunking, the slam dunk contest, pressing and trapping defenses, drafting underclassmen, and a faster pace of play. The style of basketball play that has made the NBA exciting has more in common with the style of play in the ABA than that of the pre-merger NBA, and of course, the All-Star Weekend. Very simply put, the promises made to the ABA players to finalize the merger have been broken, time and time again. ABA players were told they would be treated the same as NBA players. They weren't. ABA players were told that their pension fund would be equal to the NBA pension fund. It wasn't. In the meantime, ABA players have had to scratch and claw for their benefits as they live in their golden years. Some ABA players have only recently been able to obtain long-sought pension benefits. Others have not been so lucky. Within the document that was submitted to the NBA is a list of former ABA players who have passed away since the fight for ABA pension benefits started. Many of these men never received pension benefits in their lifetime. Essentially, these players were left to perish by a league and a system that did not value them and which viewed them as fungible commodities, not human beings. To this day, some former ABA players are still seeking benefits, decades after the ABA ceased to exist. Many of the former ABA players alive today are in poor health and poor financial condition, or both. The NBA has never taken care of them despite numerous inquiries and proposals. Contrast the ABA player situation to that of those who played in the NBA before 1965. About 10 years ago, the NBA gratuitously paid pre-1965 NBA players pensions equal to $300 per year of service per month, along with a lump sum retroactive payment. According to a Chicago Tribune story about the arrangement, the relatively paltry amounts for the older retired players had become an embarrassing issue for the NBA given that current players averaged more than $4 million in salary per season and how little the league had set aside for the pioneers. Today, the average NBA salary is over $5 million per year. As laid out in the detail above, the former ABA players, the true pioneers of the modern game, are stuck with exceedingly paltry benefits. Rather than compensating the former ABA players like the pre-1965 players, the NBA has left these men behind. Of course, this hasn't stopped the NBA and its teams from profiting off the legacy of the ABA and its players. In recent years, the former ABA teams have taken advantage of the market for throwback jerseys by focusing on the ABA years. In addition to selling ABA-branded apparel like T-shirts, jerseys, the former ABA teams have also sold and played in throwback ABA jerseys. For example, former ABA players' jerseys recently for sale in the Indiana Pacers team shop during a game, as you'll see in the video. The money does not trickle down to the former ABA players. What have the former ABA players realized monetarily from the advertisement of their legacy and playing days? Absolutely nothing, not a dime. It's not like the teams cannot afford it. Recently, Forbes valued the Nets at $1.7 billion, the Spurs at $1.15 billion, the Nuggets at $855 million, and the Indiana Pacers at $840 million. The Clippers were sold for $2 billion. These figures, of course, pale in comparison to the NBA itself, which is projected to bring in an estimated $8 billion a year in basketball-related income alone. The former ABA players do not ask for much. They merely want to be heard in a meaningful way to fashion a remedy that justly compensates them consistent with the way the NBA has gratuitously compensated similar pioneers in the past. What they seek is a modest monetary acknowledgement compared to the money running through the modern NBA. The players of the former ABA seek one thing, nothing more, nothing less, to be treated with the same compassion that the NBA displayed for its other forefathers in the pre-1965 deal. They ask the NBA to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk on their stated principles and mantra. They ask to be treated with basic decency with a sense of fair play. To achieve their goals, the former ABA players have a modest request, and that is to be heard on these issues. And that's a remedy be fashioned that is commensurate with their contribution to the game. The ABA players changed the game to what the NBA game is today.